And I want to talk a little bit about what Jeff, you'll get more in depth of this stuff from 8 to 9, but the name of his message was, This is the Way, Walk in It. And the main scripture used was Isaiah 30, verse 21, which says, Whether you turn to the right or turn to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, This is the way, walk in it. How many of you guys know that, this is the way, walk in it? That's talking about God's will, God's way. How many of you know that walking in God's way is easier said than done? We're going to give you we're going to talk about how do you stay on the right path. He's talking about this is the way, walk in it, staying on, and talked a lot about staying on the right path. John 14:6 says that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. So Jesus Christ is the way. And that's where we're called. If you know anything about the Bible, the Old Testament points us to Jesus. The New Testament and like the Gospels talk about the life of Jesus, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then like Paul's books and the other New Testament are like Christian living, and kind of like Paul writing to the various churches, and John writing in Revelation about, the end times and these different things. But everything about the Bible is the way is Jesus. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. So I want to run through quickly some of the points that he made here in the message. And he said, how do you stay on the right path? And he had 5 ways that we'll just go over quickly. We can't go too much in depth here, but give you that. Again, Pastor Jeff will be talking about this on Faith Talks at 8 o'clock. But how do you stay on the right path? Number 1 is have quiet time with the Lord. How many know that spending time with God, that's the only way you're going to get closer to God. If you're not going to stay on the right path if you don't, spend time with him. It's kind of like in sports. If you don't practice, if you want to be a good basketball player and you don't practice your shot and you're not practicing it, you're not going to get better. You're not going to stay on course to be if you want to be professional someday, you're not going to stay on course to do that. That would be really hard anyway. What you make time for is what is important in your life. Jeff said that. What you have time for is what's important in your life. So the things that are important are the things that you're going to make time for. One of the scripture references he used, I don't have time to read all the scriptures, is Philippians 4:16. So number 1, have quiet time with the Lord. Number 2, seeking God with your decision making, with decisions. Proverbs 3:5 and 6, very known verse, says, Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So you got to seek God with your decision making, whether it's a big decision or a small decision, whatever the decision is, make sure that you're seeking God in that choice. Allow God to lead and direct you. If you want to stay on the right path, seek God with your decision making. Number 3, walk in acts of kindness. Being kind to each other. It could be as simply as, I teach a lot of my guys that I work with. I got to take guys out into the community and work on their social skills. One of my favorite social skills that I love working on with them is being kind in their manners. Saying please and thank you when you go to a restaurant and you order something can go a long way. Telling the cashier to have a nice day, whether we're at Walmart or Taco Bell, being nice to people that are waiting on you is a good act of kindness. How about, you might not even think of this as an act of kindness, but Jeff used this example in his message, talked about the story of the woman caught in the act of adultery. If you aren't familiar with that story, just say it really quick. Jesus, basically told her that she was in the act of adultery, and basically not Jesus didn't really. The people kind of we're kind of like tattletaling on her, say, that woman's in the act of adultery, what are you going to do to her? And Jesus told everybody, well, if you don't have any sin in your life, you throw the first stone. And none of the people could throw the stone because they all had sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So Jesus said, you know what? Go and sin no more. And he let the lady go. He walked in kindness despite her, not walking in sin and struggling. I'm not saying that he promoted the sin, but he told her, go and sin no more. Try your best not to do that anymore. God walked in kindness towards that woman. and we can walk in kindness. There's all kind of acts of kindness. Maybe, it's getting the door. My mom always taught me to get the door. If there's a lady coming in and I'm going into a store or a gas station or something, get the door for the lady and open the door, and that's an act of kindness. So number 3 that Jeff said, staying on the right path is acts of kindness. Number 4, be grateful. We are in the grateful season, but this should be not just during the Thanksgiving season, but all the time. We should be grateful for the things we have. A scripture reference to that is 1 Corinthians 10:31. And I don't know about you, but I try my best to always be grateful. Be thankful for what you have. Be thankful that you're not on the street, that you have a place to go in this cold winter. Be thankful there's so many things to be grateful for. One of the things that Pastor Jeff did this morning here at Church on the Rock was he went around and asked people what they had to be thankful for and to be grateful. And people had all kinds of good answers. We have so much to be thankful and to be grateful for. And one of the ways that we can stay on the right path is to be grateful. Last and certainly not least, the 5th thing that he said was showing grace to other people. And a scripture reference to that is Colossians 3, verse 12 and 13. How many of you know that you should show grace to others? Grace simply means unearned favor, just to show people, have grace on people. If somebody's wronged you in the past, or there's an opportunity where maybe you could walk in offense, don't choose not to. It says in the Bible to love your enemies. How many guys know that that's a lot easier said than done? But if you love your enemies, you have grace for people, that's going to go a long way in walking in the path that Jesus has for you. So again, those are 5 ways in which we can stay on the right path with God. Go in this way and walk in it, as it said in our opening scripture there. Hopefully that blesses, encourages you. Again, Pastor Jeff will have a lot more. Stay tuned on WMCR The Wave. If you are on Facebook, go over there. I encourage you to go over there at 8 o'clock and click on the Listen Live button on WMCR's website and be able